however long that might be. I held out a clipboard with a form that would allow us to send a tissue sample to a company for molecular profiling after her surgery. With that information, we can determine the best treatment options following surgery. Mrs. Sedaris didn't take it. Mr. Sedaris, also blonde and blue-eyed, but tanned the way a coach who spent his afternoons on the football field would be, did it for her. His chair creaked under his brawny weight, the legs spindly behind his massive calves. My phone dinged. I took a quick peek. Maddie. When was the last time I talked to my oldest daughter? Our weekly calls had turned into sporadic texts sometime last semester, or maybe it was the semester before. Guilt's sharp arrow tips tried to pierce my thick physician's hide and then fell, broken, to the ground. She needed help with her rent after her apartment roommate bailed out at the last second to live with her boyfriend, which was why I'd been in favor of dorm living. My husband, Daniel, had sided with Maddie, something he'd done a lot lately. Think about it later. Later would come in the middle of the night. I added her request to my mental to-do list without responding. It's highly treatable, I offered as I handed Mr. Sedaris a pen. We should get started as soon as possible, though. When we finish here, my medical assistant will take you to the surgeon's scheduler. I've already talked to him. He's expecting to do a preliminary evaluation early next week or as soon as he can squeeze you into his schedule. That's good. He laid the clipboard in his wife's lap and placed the pen in her hand. She scribbled her signature without reading the form. He patted her arm. That's good. In time, they would realize that highly treatable didn't equate to highly curable. Patients could only take so much in one sitting. Give me your phone, and I'll put my cell phone number in it. Call me if you need me. She met my gaze for the first time since I'd said the words uterine cancer. You do that? The clinic where I practiced had a terrible habit of making it difficult for patients to reach their physicians. Messages disappeared into great voids. I needed to be accessible to my patients. It was my job. Put yours in mine, too. That way I'll recognize it when you call. My phone dinged again. Not Maddie, surely. She knew better. No, it was Daniel. My husband wanted to remind me we were attending his mother's 75th birthday celebration that evening. He'd reminded me 3 times before I left the house at 7 earlier in the day, and 2 times the previous night after I'd turned off the reading lamp, rolled over with my back to him, and tugged the sheet up around my shoulders. I ignored his text. I ignored him. That's what he'd say. But I wasn't ignoring him, just leaving my response for a more appropriate time. I was with a patient. I'd respond later, which would be about the time I arrived at the house and found him pacing, ready to go. The door opened. My medical assistant, Shay, stuck her head in. Sorry to interrupt. Methodist is calling about Mr. Chavez. My hospitalized patient with late-stage colon cancer. I took the phone. Shay, please take Mr. and Mrs. Sedaris to see Dr. Rodriguez's scheduler. I turned back to the couple. Once we have a date set for your surgery, we'll schedule you back with me. Mr. Sedaris stood. He took his wife's arm and helped her up, like she was an elderly woman in need of a cane or a walker. I held up my arms. See you soon. She accepted my offering and walked into them. I hugged her tight. Her thin body shuddered. I heaved a breath, let go, and stepped back. See Dr. Rodriguez, and then we'll make a plan, okay? Okay. She gave me a watery smile, the first since I'd come into the room. See you soon. Trust and hope lived in those words. The seeds had been planted. By our next appointment, she'd be over the shock and ready to participate as a member of the team responsible for keeping her alive. At least I hoped she would. I wasn't a big proponent of the so-called power of positive thinking, but a patient determined to fight for survival often fared better. I didn't know why. I didn't really care why. Only the results mattered. See you soon. I stepped out into the hallway with Shay. She beckoned to the couple. This way. She glanced back at me. You're about an hour behind now. The clinic insisted on scheduling my patients 15 minutes apart. How bad is it? Mrs. Cochran says she's bringing her sleeping bag next time, and Mr. Johnson thinks we should provide a lunch buffet. I'll catch up. Uh-huh. Shay had been my medical assistant for 5 years.